Hello viewers, welcome to our channel Career Prep. In this video, we'll solve a few problems based on ratios in the topic Simple Interest. Since questions based on this topic are most frequently asked in competitive exams, it makes sense to understand the concept well. Problems are dealt with in this video along with clear explanations to make you understand the concept clearly. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel. Also press the bell icon to get notifications as soon as we post a new video. So let's start. What would be the ratio of simple interest earned by a certain sum at the same rate of interest for 6 years and that for 9 years? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you are asked to find the ratio of simple interest earned by a certain sum at the same rate of interest for 6 years and that for 9 years. So here first we have to find the simple interest earned for 6 years and for 9 years using the formula SI is equal to PRT divided by 100. But here we do not know what is the principal. So let's assume that the principal is P. It's also not given what is the rate of interest. So let the rate of interest be R%. Now the principal and the rate of interest is the same for 6 years and 9 years. Now let's find the ratio. So here uh, since 6 years is given first, the simple interest for 6 years has to be in the numerator. So the required ratio is equal to P multiplied by R multiplied by 6 divided by 100, which is a simple interest for 6 years, divided by P multiplied by R multiplied by 9 divided by 100, which is the simple interest for 9 years. On solving this, we get the required ratio as 6 by 9, and on simplifying this we get 2 by 3. So the required ratio is 2 is to 3. The correct answer is option C, 2 is to 3. In a certain time, the ratio of a certain principal and the simple interest obtained from it are in the ratio 10 is to 3 at 10% interest per annum. For what number of years was the money invested? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you have to find out for what number of years was the money invested. That is, you have to find the time. Now time can be calculated using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Now it's given that R is equal to 10% per annum. Also it's given that P is to SI is equal to 10 is to 3. Now when you observe the formula here, you will see that SI is in the numerator and P is in the denominator. So rewriting this ratio so that SI is in the numerator and P is in the denominator, we get SI by P is equal to 3 by 10. So now we know that R is 10% per annum, SI by P is 3 by 10. So substituting these values in the formula here, we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by 3 divided by 10 multiplied by 10. And on solving this, we get T is equal to 3, which means time is 3 years. So the money was invested for 3 years. So the correct answer is option A, 3 years. A person lent rupees 5,000 partly at the rate of 4% and partly at the rate of 5% per annum simple interest. The total interest after 2 years is rupees 440. In what ratio should rupees 5,000 be divided to find the sum of money lent at each of the above rates? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here it's given that a person lent rupees 5,000 partly at the rate of 4% per annum and partly at the rate of 5% per annum simple interest. So the total sum is rupees 5,000. Now we do not know what is the sum lent out at 4% per annum and what is the sum lent out at 5% per annum. So let's assume that the sum lent at uh, the rate of 4% per annum is rupees X. Then the sum lent at the rate of 5% per annum would be rupees 5,000 minus X. Now we are asked to find the ratio between X and 5,000 minus X. Now it's given that the total interest after 2 years is rupees 440. So total interest is rupees 440 and time is 2 years. The total interest after 2 years is rupees 440 means that the simple interest earned at the rate of 4% per annum plus the simple interest earned at the rate of 5% per annum after 4 years is equal after 2 years is equal to rupees 440. Now we know that simple interest is equal to PRT divided by 100. So according to the question, x multiplied by 4 multiplied by 2 divided by 100, which is the simple interest earned at the rate of 4% per annum, plus 5000 minus x multiplied by 5 multiplied by 2 divided by 100, which is the simple interest earned at the rate of 5% per annum, is equal to 440. Now on solving this equation, we get x is equal to rupees 3000. Now the second sum is rupees 5000 minus x. So substituting the value of x, we get rupees 5000 minus rupees 3000, which is rupees 2000. So the sum of money lent at the rate of 4% per annum simple interest is rupees 3000. The sum of money lent at the rate of 5% per annum is rupees 2000. Now the required ratio is 3000 is to 2000, and on simplifying this we get the required ratio as 3 is to 2. So the correct answer is option A, 3 is to 2. Rupees 12,000 is divided into two parts so that the simple interest on the first part for 3 years at 12% per annum may be equal to the simple interest on the second part for 4.5 years at 16% per annum. Find the ratio of the first part to the second part. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you are asked to find the ratio of the first part to the second part. But you do not know what is the first part and what is the second part. But it's given that the total sum is rupees 12,000, which is divided into two parts. Now let's assume that the first part is rupees x. Then the second part would be rupees 12,000 minus x. Now it's given that for the first part, time is 3 years and rate of interest is 12% per annum. For the second part, it's given that time is equal to 4.5 years, which is nothing but 9 by 2 years, and rate of interest is 16% per annum. It's given that the simple interest on the first part is equal to the simple interest on the second part. Now we know that simple interest is equal to PRT divided by 100. So according to the question, x multiplied by 12 multiplied by 3 divided by 100, which is the simple interest for the first part, is equal to 12,000 minus x multiplied by 16 multiplied by 9 by 2 divided by 100, which is the simple interest for the second part. Now on solving this, we get 2 by 1. So the required ratio of first part is to second part is equal to 2 is to 1. The correct answer is option B, 2 is to 1. A person invests money in 3 different schemes for 6 years, 10 years and 12 years at 10%, 12% and 15% simple interest respectively. At the completion of each scheme, he gets the same interest. Find the ratio of his investment. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you are asked to find the ratio of his investment, but we do not know how much the person has invested in the 3 different schemes. So let's assume that the person has invested P1 for 6 years at 10% per annum rate of interest. He has invested P2 for 10 years at 12% per annum simple interest, and he has invested P3 for 12 years at 15% uh, per annum simple interest. So now the ratio of his investment would be P1 is to P2 is to P3. Now, according to the question, simple interest on P1 for 6 years at 10% per annum is equal to simple interest on P2 for 10 years at 12% per annum. This means P1 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 6 divided by 100 is equal to P2 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 10 divided by 100. On solving this equation, we get P1 divided by P2 is equal to 120 divided by 60. On simplifying this, we get P1 by P2 is equal to 2 by 1. Now it's also given that the simple interest on P2 for 10 years at 12% per annum is equal to the simple interest on P3 for 12 years at 15% per annum. This means P2 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 10 divided by 100 is equal to P3 multiplied by 15 multiplied by 12 divided by 100. On solving this equation, we get P2 divided by P3 is equal to 180 divided by 120. On simplifying this, we get P1 by P2 is equal to 3 by 2. Now you can write these two equations in the form of ratio like this. P1 is to P2 is equal to 2 is to 1. P2 is to P3 is equal to 3 is to 2. Remember that since P2 is common here, write the appropriate numbers one below the other for P2. Now P1 is to P2 is to P3 is equal to 2 multiplied by 3 which is 6 is to 3 multiplied by 1 which is 3 and 1 multiplied by 2 which is 2. So the required ratio is 6 is to 3 is to 2. Now you can remember this like this also. P1 is to P2 is equal to 2 is to 1. P2 is to P3 is equal to 3 is to 2. So since P2 is common in both these ratios, remember to write the relevant numbers one below the other. Now since you have 1 here, write 1 again here in the empty space. Here since you have 3 here, write 3 here in the empty space. Now P1 is to P2 is to P3 is equal to 2 multiplied by 3 which is 6, 1 multiplied by 3 is 3 and 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. So the required ratio is 6 is to 3 is to 2. So the correct answer is option B, 6 is to 3 is to 2. A person borrows some money for 5 years. The loan amount is to total interest amount is 5 is to 2. Find the ratio of loan amount is to rate of interest. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now this problem can be solved by 2 methods. Let's look at the first method now. Now it's given that the loan amount is to total interest amount is 5 is to 2. But we do not know what is the total interest. So first let's find out the total interest using the formula SI is equal to PRT divided by 100. But here we do not know what is the principal or the loan amount. So let's assume that the loan amount is rupees 100. We also do not know what is the rate of interest. So let's assume that the rate of interest is X% per annum. Now it's given that time is 5 years. So substituting all these values in the formula here, we get simple interest is equal to 100 multiplied by X multiplied by 5 divided by 100. On solving this, we get the simple interest is equal to 5x. Now it's given that loan amount is to total interest is equal to 5 is to 2. Now we have assumed the loan amount as rupees 100 and we have found out that the total interest is 5x. So 100 is to 5x is equal to 5 is to 2. Now on solving this, we get 5x is equal to 100 multiplied by 2 divided by 5, which means x is equal to 8%. Now we are asked to find the ratio of the loan amount and rate of interest. We have assumed that the loan amount is rupees 100. Now we have found out that the rate of interest is 8%. So ratio of loan amount is to rate of interest is equal to 100 is to 8, and on simplifying this we get the required ratio as 25 is to 2. Now let's look at the second method. Now here we are asked to find the ratio of loan amount and rate of interest. So first let's find out the rate of interest using the formula R is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. Now it's given that the time is 5 years. It's also given that loan amount is to total interest is equal to 5 is to 2. So this means that SI is 2, P is 5 and T is 5. So substituting all these values in the formula here, we get R is equal to 100 multiplied by 2 divided by 5 multiplied by 5. On solving this, we get R is equal to 8%. Now R is equal to 8% means the rate of interest on a principal of rupees 100 is 8. Now we are asked to find the ratio of loan amount is to rate of interest. So now we know that the loan amount is rupees 100 and rate of interest is 8. So ratio of loan amount is to ratio of interest is 100 is to 8, and on simplifying this we get 25 is to 2. So the required ratio is 25 is to 2. The correct answer is option C, 25 is to 2. A ratio of the principal and the amount after 1 year is 10 is to 12. Then what is the rate of interest per annum? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you are asked to find the rate of interest per annum. We can find the rate of interest using the formula R is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. Now it's given that T is equal to 1 year, but we do not know what is the SI and what is the principal. Now it's given that principal is to amount is equal to 10 is to 12. Now as you can see in this formula here, principal is in the denominator. So let's rewrite this as amount divided by principal is equal to 12 divided by 10. So here also you can see that principal is in the denominator. Now you know that amount is nothing but principal plus interest. So we can write this equation as principal plus interest divided by principal is equal to 12 by 10. 12 by 10 on simplification gives us 6 by 5. Now principal divided by principal is 1 plus interest divided by principal, we'll write it as it is equal to 6 by 5. So interest divided by principal is equal to 6 by 5 minus 1, which is nothing but 1 by 5. So in this formula, you have simple interest divided by P, and we have found out that simple interest divided by principal is 1 by 5. Now we know that time is 1 year. So substituting all this in the formula here, we get R is equal to 100 multiplied by 1 divided by 5 multiplied by 1. On solving this, we get R is equal to 20, which means the rate of interest per annum is 20%. So the correct answer is option C, 20%. With a given rate of simple interest, the ratio of principal and amount for a certain period of time is 4:5. After 3 years, with the same rate of interest, the ratio of the principal and amount becomes 5:7. Find the rate of interest. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you have 2 cases where the ratio of principal and in the first case the ratio of principal and amount is 4:5, and in the second case the ratio of principal and amount is 5:7. Let's now consider the first case. Now here in the first case, it's given that with the given rate of simple interest, the ratio of principal and amount for a certain period of time is 4:5. We do not know what is the period of time here. So let's find out the period of time using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Now it's given that principal is to amount is equal to 4:5 for case 1. This means that if principal is 4x, then amount is 5x. Now since simple interest is equal to amount minus principal, it means that simple interest is equal to 5x minus 4x, which is x. So now we know that simple interest is x, principal is 4x, but we do not know what is the rate of interest. So let's assume that the rate of interest is r% per annum. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by x divided by 4x multiplied by r. On simplifying this, we get T is equal to 25 by r years. Now let's look at the second case. Now in the second case, it's given that after 3 years. So we know that time is 25 by r years. So after 3 years means the time is 25 by r plus 3 years for case 2 with the same rate of interest. Now earlier we had assumed that the rate of interest is r% per annum. So for case 2 also rate of interest is r% per annum. The ratio of the principal and amount becomes 5:7. So for case 2, it's given that principal is to amount is equal to 5:7. This means if principal is 5x, then amount is 7x. Now since simple interest is equal to amount minus principal, it means simple interest is equal to 7x minus 5x, which is 2x. Now we are asked to find the rate of interest. So rate of interest can be found out using the formula R is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. Now we know that the simple interest is 2x, principal is 5x, and time is 25 by r plus 3. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get r is equal to 100 multiplied by 2x divided by 5x multiplied by 25 by r plus 3. On solving this, we get r is equal to 5, which means the rate of interest is 5% per annum. So the correct answer is option D, 5%. Viewers, please go through this video till you have understood the concept. Practice more such problems to increase your speed and also to understand the concept clearly. Please do watch a video on simple interest for solved problems on installments. If you have liked this video, please like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you.